Welcome everyone to Bridge the Gap. My name is Holden Stephan Roy. Joining me today is Mr. David Weston, who I don't know all that much about, but holy crap, this guy's vibe is like the most positive and kind and like I don't want to say the word gentle. No, it's gentle. It's a gentle energy that we have coming off the internets and the communications. And I was like, this is so different than some of the energies I normally get when we up on top of a show like this. So I was so curious. Plus, you in the city, we found you, I think, at some point. I don't remember exactly how it came to be. I heard the music, and now we are here. And we're doing this little interview. And the point of this show is to go through your life story a little bit, understand who you are, and extract the little knowledge nuggets of your existence so as to better all of our existences and such, plus get to know you better as like the person that you are, Mr. David Weston. On that note,
awesome. Thanks for having me on, man. It's lit.
awesome. So I have a big proper story like opening question to get the ball rolling, but for that all to make sense a little bit, could you just let us know where you start your life? Because you say you came to Montreal. I don't know if you said it on camp, but you say you came to Montreal recently to me. And so where does your life actually start? The very beginning parts.
Word. So I was born in Quebec City. So my mother is from Quebec. My dad's Australian. That's a pretty long story. Whatever, we can get into that later or another time. But I born in Quebec City, grew up there, lived pretty much my whole life there.
Dope.
And then a few years ago, I just got up and started traveling. So like I said, my dad's Australian. So I have my Australian passport, which made it easy for me to work there. So I just sort of traveled a bit, lived with my granddad and uncle, worked, made some money, and I'd go off and travel in Asia, spend it all, be dead broke, and come back and do the same thing. So I did that for a few years.
We're gonna get into that with more detail, I promise. Like this is not the concise version. We're gonna get there. But
no, this is just, I'm going through it quick. All the
hype shit
I did that for a few years. I just traveled a lot through India, Nepal, Burma, Vietnam. I'd go back to Australia, met some amazing people, worked, did all that to finally come back to Canada, I don't know, 3 years ago. I spent a year or so in Quebec City because that's where my family was at. I hadn't seen them in a while. I was getting back up on my feet. And just getting my shit together. And I've been in Montreal for like a year and a half now.
Dope.
And I'm loving it. Yeah, it's awesome. I love Montreal. Very diverse, to say the least.
Montreal is hella diverse. I think at one point, if it's not still current, we had the most restaurants per capita in North America, which is one of my favorite stats.
I've heard of that. That's pretty cool. Like more than New York, which is actually pretty
impressive.
I'm
just gonna throw it down. Now New York will say we have a lot more undocumented people, so fuck your stats, and fair enough. But I'm just gonna throw it out that I still love that stat. But we do have the proper opening question, and we are gonna get into more of your story with details and that. But it's cool that you traveled and stuff. I really look forward to hearing more about that. But this all starts off with my girlfriend. And she be washing the dishes one time, and she got her phone out, and she's playing that Black Eyed Peas song. The I got a feeling, ooh, vibing. She dancing, she doing her thing. I look at her, and I have this epiphany. I'm like, when in the fuck did this song become chores music? Because like, if you think about this song, you run it back about a decade or so, you're going to see how this is the middle of the night song. Everybody jumping around, super drunk, having a time of their life when it's on. You run it 10 years into the future. The song doesn't change at all because it's a song, but we as people change so much in our evolution that it goes from being like the party song in the middle of the night to being this almost song we play when we're doing some boring stuff like working out or whatever, and we want to go back to the party song in the middle of the night, but we're not there anymore because we're all getting kind of older and stuff. And it got me thinking about the evolution of music and our relationships with it on the journey that we go on. You know, how them little 20-year-olds be out there clubbing, doing their thing. Maybe they like drill, maybe they like the electronic stuffs, but either way, that's the soundtrack to their dishes in the future. And they don't even know that when I heard the Pop Smokes and the things like that, it just kind of jumped the line a bit and went straight to dishes music for me. And I was like, it's wild how the relationships with music works. But then I thought about us as artists, right? And how people be telling their stories. And everybody as an artist seems to start around the same place, like this adolescent coming into yourself point where like maybe, yo, I'm 12 and I discovered rapping or singing and I started, or like they started writing, and it's all like when their identity gets formed as though nothing ever happened before that, which is kind of weird because music's been around like our whole lives and stuff. Like there's a good chance in Quebec City when you popped out there was some sounds being played in the room that you was getting absorbed up. You may not remember it or not. And like I say that because I can remember being like 5 up in Montreal. My dad's got all these gray boxes around the room, the preamp and the amp and the radio and the tape deck and all that. The wires going everywhere with the little ghetto surround sound system we built, and he'd be busting his Led Zeppelin tapes and things like that in the daytime. But at the nighttime, it was like the MC Mario club mixes being played live from the clubs, and just my moms would come through with like the Disney movies and the musicals and the love songs and the discos, and it was just this giant mishmash of stuff I had no control over, but it heavily inspired me to this day. So I was hoping, Mr. David Weston, that you could bring us back to the youngest David Weston you remember being, and describe a little bit about what it sounded like to be you before you could control the musics.
Well, it's funny you say that because I feel like any human in general, but if we're going to speak about artists get inspired by music that make them want to express themselves, you know, like you start by listening to certain songs and you're like, oh, that's cool what he's talking about, and then I guess as you get older you're like, oh fuck, like maybe I could do that too. But for me, like I know my parents played a lot of like cool stuff like growing up when it was still cassettes and we'd vibe it in the car, like sort of like Tracy Chapman, Peter, Paul, and Mary. I don't know if you've heard of them. Just like cool,
man,
off the map shit, dude. Like I was really.
I think you might be the first person to drop a Peter, Paul, and Mary on us. But like, yeah, I did grow up with that shit.
They were extremely lit. But you know, like they played a few things growing up. But I remember for me, you know, since I'm, you know, I guess it's sort of like alternative hip hop rap. I do some singing, but, you know, I'll classify myself as a rapper right now. And for the rapping aspect of things, I still remember when my friend, 6th grade with the Discman came up to me like, yo, do you know this 50 Cent guy? And put the headphones on me. And I heard it in the club, wrote the club, like just really, and that whole album Get Rich or Die Trying, I found so cool. And like I didn't even really get why, because I didn't really know what he was talking about that much, but it was the energy and aggro with it, bro. Fuck, I loved 50. Then I got into like Dre and more like gangster stuff to start off. So that's like the beginning, man. I felt so cool just walking around, and I was a ball player too, so it would really pump me up and all that. But I'd have to say 50 Cent in the club is like number
that
one.
That was huge when it came. I remember dead ass. I was in grade 9 when that dropped, and we had a fucking.
Yo, bro, by the way, your voice is just cracking a bit.
Let me fix that. Let me fix that for you right quick. So yeah, I was saying, I remember dead ass when that song dropped. We had like a fucking intense conversation debating how many goes were said at the very beginning of that track. Like it was a big fucking deal that day in school. Anyway. But before you got into like hip hop and stuff, when you were like even younger than that, did you like were you like one of them 5-year-olds running around belting your Puff the Magic Dragon, doing little theatrics, or were you like more just like a consumer of the music?
More of a consumer, but I actually just had this random memory right now just pop into my head. I've always been, I remember with my brothers, we'd sort of like come up with our own songs. So I don't know exactly which artists influenced that. I think it was just growing up and learning to express myself and maybe hearing that music with my parents in the car. And John Denver too, by the way, that just popped up. My parents were held into that. You know John Denver?
Nah.
This really cool country roads take.
Okay, I do know that. I do know that song.
Yeah, so anyway, that stuff. But I remember like I wasn't really into like music. Like I never played an instrument, but I remember my mom, or I think it was my sister's like first ever like sort of more like digital camera. And my brothers and I would film ourselves recording these like songs or sort of like weird poems we'd written that were ridiculous and just really funny. So I was probably like, I don't know, man, like 8 or 9 or 10 when that happened. But I don't know if it was like the music I'd listened to or just me growing up and, you know, already had that in me, just wanting to perform and sort of make people laugh and just vibe with my brothers. But yeah, that's sort of how it started up, I think. I don't know.
That's an interesting answer still. So y'all were like a little theatrical troupe as the little ones.
Yeah, like me and my brothers really had this vibe going where like we'd start these like we'd call foundations. We were like we were like the bosses of these like clubs. Oh, dude, we were on one. Like I remember, I don't know, dude. I remember I wrote this ridiculous rhyme. Like I'm trying to remember it because my brothers and I bring it up sometimes, like years later. Like, you know, I'm not the one who put my finger up my bum and said, "Mom, come wipe me, 'cause I'm done." You know, like shit like that. You know, like ridiculous.
That was hard for a little one. Like I'm not even gonna lie, for a kid, that's hard.
Yeah, bro.
Like, what are kids supposed to rap about?
Getting my mom to come wipe my ass, bro. Like I'm not gonna front. Oh, that's my reality, you know. But nah, man. But that's actually the first like sort of memory of actually like writing something. But I was always just super into music, and I know all the lyrics to these songs, and it just made me feel good. You know, music's really a feeling, man. So it's always made me feel good. It's helped me cope with my emotions. It's helped me dream. So that's been always, bro. So yeah.
So that's dope. So y'all would like run around, you know, just singing whatever. Did you have? When did you get into sports?
I played basketball forever as a kid, but I started playing competitively, like on a team in grade 4, and then I went all the way through. That was really my top priority before I sort of got into more creative stuff. Like I played for Team Quebec, under 15, under 17.
Well, that's saying that just to be clear, when you say because you lived in Quebec City, yo, what's up, J Pizzle 47, who said Real G, David Weston, KSS stand up. Don't know what KSS is, but respect.
You know, so shout out to anyone from KSS watching this. KSS is Ganawage Survival School. I worked there as a teacher assistant in language arts. So a lot of really cool kids there. I no longer work there. It was time to move on, but shout out to anyone from KSS on here right now. Much love, guys.
Yo, shout out anybody from KSS. Best teacher. That's the kind of cosigns you're getting in the chat right now.
I did my best.
That's dope. So when you say Quebec, because you come from Quebec City, does that mean Quebec the city or the provincial Quebec team?
Yeah, I was the provincial team. So it was mostly guys from Montreal playing, really talented guys.
And what sport was it?
Pardon?
Which sport was it?
Basketball. Yeah, so I was, you know, staying as humble as possible here, but I was a decent player, man. I played a few years. I played a couple summers for Quebec. I played collegiate AAA for Cégep Sainte-Foy in Quebec City. So it was my top priority before this whole music thing, man. I was really into it. It's actually really good memories. So yeah.
Yo, what's up? Willie Scandos just came through. I don't know if you know Willie Scandos. If you're mentioning K-Town, he's from K-Town. So I figured maybe you know who he is, maybe not. It is what it is. He's still in the chat. So what's up, Willie? And you're basically a provincial level athlete, and you're trying to act like you made that's not as many people. That's the whole province, all the high school or whatever kids, and you're like the top 30 in a sport to represent the province or whatever the number is.
Top 13, yeah.
So top 13, you're the best, one of the best 13 young basketball players in that time competing against the rest of Canada. Yeah, Willie recognizes you as a KSS teacher.
What's that?
Willie recognizes you as a KSS teacher.
Word up. Forever an educator, man.
So yeah, that's pretty dope that you were doing that. I could see how that would be a priority. I mean, like if you're at a provincial team and you're one of the best at, you know, that level, you might be like, I should push this. Respectable. Is it like Like how much time do you put into like practicing and all that shit? Like, is it really like you see in the movies where at that level you're really doing it like 5 a.m. type shits, or is it like you're just good and inside?
Yeah, man, I used to put in a lot of work. Like the summers I didn't play for Quebec and I was more like free. I'd shoot, like we had a mini little basketball court in our backyard growing up. So shout out to my dad. He put in a lot of hours rebounding for us, and throwing the ball back and pushing us to.
Oh, shout out your dad.
Pardon?
I said shout out your dad.
Oh, dude, legend. Really great, dedicated father, a great human being. Yeah, he pushed because my 2 younger brothers played 2 very, very good players as well. So yeah, dude, I mean, I guess looking back, I'm not going to lie and say I put in a lot of work. Like definitely could have been more dedicated and put in more, but I was into it, man. Like I'd work on my game, my ball handling, my shooting, I'd scrimmage a lot, and beat down on my brothers and think I'm king. But definitely a cool time in my life, man. Like not only for just like being able to play, but just the bonds and the connections I formed with people playing with people in high school, or whether it be on the provincial team. There's people I still keep in touch.
Hold on. When you play like at a provincial level, do you travel across Canada, or does like you go to Toronto or some shit? I feel like Toronto would be the center of Canada.
So when I played under 15, the first summer, the Nationals were out in Vancouver. We had a tournament down in Atlantic City, New Jersey. We played some American teams, which was cool. And then under 17, the Nationals were actually in Sherbrooke, so we didn't get to travel that much. They were in fucking Sherbrooke.
I feel like Sherbrooke would be like, you look at the flyer and you're like, come on. No offense to Sherbrooke, but I feel like if you're... Sorry, go ahead.
I said you guys could have at least given us like Regina or something.
That's what I'm saying. Like you have to travel to get there, some free trip, but nah, just like a couple hour drive to Sherbrooke.
It was all right though. But I remember that summer we played a tournament in New Brunswick. Yeah, man, we traveled around. We pretty much the whole summer was dedicated to practicing and playing some tournaments to get ready for what actually counted, which were the Nationals at the end of the summer, where we'd compete against all the other provinces. And U15, we won bronze.
Okay.
I remember we beat Nova Scotia in the bronze medal game. And U17, we won silver. We lost to Alberta, who had some crazy good players, man. A couple of them went to play at Gonzaga, like D1. Yeah, man, good memories. Yeah. Used to be a baller for sure.
So bringing it back to music, you said how you're like in grade 6 at this point. That's before even grade 6. You're like a couple of years earlier. Y'all are writing your songs, and you said you was recording them and whatnot. Now we gotta talk a little logistics. I'm gonna assume this is like computers exist land, but still, not everybody be recording stuff back in the day. So how did you like do it?
That was all on, like I said, I think it was either my sister's or my mom's like camera that we could record videos on. So we'd actually we didn't even like transfer it onto the computer. I don't even know if we could do that back then. We'd watch what we did on the little camera screen. So
wild. So you guys just made it to watch in shitty resolution and crap just because that was the only way you could do it? And like, was there like tapes or something for it, and you would just like build up a catalog, or was it like you just had the one thing to reuse it?
Dude, I only remember one we made, and that's really just a random memory. Like it wasn't a thing. Hey, let's make an album. It was really just like one time fucking around with my brothers and our good friend. Like we made that. That's just my earliest memory. It wasn't like a consistent thing, but we did it, and that was on that little camera. I remember. Yeah. Still,
that's fire that you banged out a track. In a sense, recorded and whatnot, logistically figured it out. And I like those stories because the ingenuity of young people inspires the shit out of me as an old person whose mind isn't as agile no more. So I got to go find those cool stories to like think out the box and shit. But like, it's just a reminder to like use what you have and run it.
It's funny you say that because just, for me right now, the sort of use what you have applies to wherever you're at, man. Like I don't go record at a huge professional studio. I have my little sound card, my MacBook, and my mic here, and I do everything at home. You can shoot videos or content on your iPhone these days and upload it. It doesn't have to be perfect all the time, man. You just
Spit
if you
that.
want to put content out there, if you want to put yourself out there, stop waiting for the perfect moment or stop waiting for it to be perfect, man. You're gonna improve as you go along, you know. So it just made me think of that when you said, bro, use what you got, man. Use yourself. If you really got something to say, people don't care if it's high quality or not, man. You're saying it and you're putting it out there. So yeah, I encourage people to just do it and stop waiting for the perfect fucking circumstance. Do it, you know.
It's facts. Perfect circumstances usually cost way more money than most of us have access to, and we're wishing for those circumstances.
Exactly, bro. And if you actually start doing your thing and you speak to yourself, speak your truth, put it out there, those ideal situations or that ideal equipment, I think will end up showing up for you. So anyway, just my opinion.
Nah, I mean, I'm like, my whole career has basically been okay. So I went to the phase where I tried to find the fancy studios, and then I was like, I'm gonna be real with you. I had a couple of moments where like it was bad sessions because of me. Like one time I ate a fat meal right before recording. Big mistake.
Bad idea.
Bad idea. Not their fault, but I basically was pissing away money on stupid shit. And once I realized I could do it at home and smoke weed, which was a big one for me, it was like, fuck the sound quality. I mean, I don't say it like that. Engineers can do a lot, and I have a good mic. Like, I'm not saying it, but like, I don't give a fuck if the room's perfect or all of that stuff. If it's like, there's a threshold that I call people don't give a shit, and once you hit that level, it doesn't matter what I feel about the perfection anymore.
Feel you, man. It's a good point. And dude, you can do a lot of good shit, just like you said, man. It doesn't have to be the perfect room. And I don't know if you mix your own stuff or whatever, but I personally record. I have a decent little setup. I record it and then send it to someone who mixes all my shit for me. So as long as it's not complete shit, they can make it sound okay, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I typically prefer to do that, but then I had some experiences that had me actually fucking around with my own shitty mixes, bro. They're bad. And then the fucking people didn't care. And I was like, this is stupid. Like, they were putting songs that are perfectly mixed against shit I mixed. And I'm like, what the fuck? It confused me. I had like a whole crisis in my head because it breaks all the rules of perfection, but it worked. So I'm like, fuck that shit. I had a little mini meme going on over some fucking random shit I did about pickle chips. So like, the fact is, if you can say the right shit and deliver it in the right way, because to be fair, I think I'm talented enough to sell shitty mixing. It's like you can't probably be trash and sell shitty mixing.
Word.
So like there maybe is like an understanding of where you're at with it, but I do think perfection's weird because punk music sounds like ass and I love it.
I mean, yeah, dude. It sort of depends where you want to take it and how you want to sound and being happy with what I mean, if you're happy with it, bro, I mean, that's all that matters, really. I mean, if you're satisfied with it, yes, you want people to fuck with it, but if you don't fuck with it, no one's gonna fuck with it.
That's facts. I mean, I fuck with what I do, but sometimes I'm willing to put out shit I don't think is perfect, and that was a hard thing to learn. Hard thing. Sometimes,
dude, I mean, come on. If you're really just relying on that one song to be perfect, to like blow up or whatever, man, fuck it. You just got to put it out and record some even better shit the next day that you might get mixed a bit better. You just got to keep creating, man.
Yeah, I for me it's like the lifestyle more than the product at this point, so I'm not worried about it. I mean, I can take everything that's not mixed good, and then my plan is literally to release what I'm gonna call actually mastered versions to goofed on the way people drop like, remasters, because they're not mastered. Yeah. They're just fucking rendered. I never mastered. I adjusted the fucking master volume. I don't think that counts. So I feel like as long as you can do something with it, it's fun. And people can do what they want with that. So it's never a waste. But I mean, because mixing isn't the performance. Mixing is mixing. Mixing can always be changed.
Word. No, totally get that. And I mean, for you, for me, what we can control the most is how we deliver the energy into the song, how we record it. And then, like you said, after that, you can actually master it and put out that album, man. The actually mastered version. I like that.
That's just, that fits into my whole world. Other people got to approach what's authentic to themselves with it. But speaking back to you, so like, you get discovered by 50 Cent and you become more interested in hip hop because, you know, it's understandable. Get Rich or Die Trying's a fucking banging album where I didn't know what Up Gangsta and all that was about when I first heard it. Like, Cuz didn't hit the same as when I grew up and understood it different. So it's like, banging album, and then you kind of unlock the hip hop side of life. But you're in Quebec City, right? And so how does that play into stuff? Are you like on the French side of life? Are you in the English side of life?
Yeah, no. So I went to school in English my whole life, apart from Sec 4 and 5, where I switched to a French school to play higher level basketball. So I was in English, man. I was in more of the English side, English community in Quebec City. So yeah, I mean, I started listening to hip hop, and I could think back to all the different artists I listened to, but it definitely transitioned into more sort of like what I would call not like witty or intelligent hip hop, but when I started to hear like the Drakes and Kid Cudis and Kanye's and Big Sean's sort of like mid to late teens, I really bought into that. I just loved, and Lil Wayne, man. Lil Wayne should have been mentioned first just for his wordplay and metaphors. And I started rocking all plain white tees just because of Lil Wayne, man. I found them so fucking cool. But yeah, all those, I'm not too sure which artists I really listened to in between. There was definitely some Eminem, 50 Cent, like G Unit, that Beg for Mercy album I bumped a lot.
Yo, that's wild. So you're saying like there's a whole bunch of y'all, like Lil Wayne is ahead of Eminem?
You know what? That's debatable, but to me, Lil Wayne's the best rapper ever. Just
that's
based
cool.
off
That's interesting.
Is like, dude, to me, he's unmatched with wordplay and how much music he's put out. And just, you listen to a lot of the things he says, and you could listen to his album like a lot of artists. But for me with Lil Wayne, I go back and listen to songs and I'm like, fuck, like that's what he meant. Because it's not only double meanings, sometimes it's triple and quadruple meanings in one sentence. And to me, he's just like really, really fucking impressive. Like he'd probably be my, apart from maybe Drake, because I love Drake, man. Lil Wayne would probably be the rapper I'd want to collab with the most, just to say I have a song with Wayne and try and go bar for bar with him, you know?
Yeah, that'd be hard because his mind is out
I know,
there.
man. I know.
Like
Good challenge. Good challenge.
I don't know if I could follow a Wayne vibe. Like I could try, but it would just be like you do your thing and then Wayne be rapping about. You got, depends on if he's horny or not, right? Like there's a few things that will impact the Wayne verse.
For sure. It depends where he's been at during the day, you know, what he's been up to. But, I feel like Wayne is very, he's like he can adapt too. He has those songs like fucking like How to Love, you know, which is more poppy and like more lover shit. I don't know what kind of song I'd want to make with Lil Wayne. I don't know if it'd be more on some lover shit or more like
I'd want to make a song like Uproar.
Yeah, we're probably something like, you know, sort of like bragging and just wordplay and bars. But yeah, no, Lil Wayne's a legend for sure, man. Love him.
That's cool. So, because, like, I mean, I suppose it makes sense, right? I feel like you're a couple years younger than me. So, when you're really in that music formative age is during Eminem's fall off. So, it's like, why would y'all put him there? It's the fall off years for him where everyone else is kind of coming over and the South be taking over everything. So, it's like, that's such an interesting transition and stuff. So, like, at that point, are you interested in rapping and stuff throughout high school as you're playing basketball, or was it more like you were just focused on the ball and it was more like a back burner?
Good question, man. Actually, I got into wanting to actually like rap and record stuff in like after high school when I was like in my mid to late first year of Cégep. I was like 19. Before that, I was into music a lot. I loved it, but I never thought of actually like expressing myself that way until I just really got into it at one point, man. I remember, getting drunk, smoking a bit back in the day with some friends. Like, oh, dude, I started to listen, to hear music differently. And I really appreciated just the lyrics and what these guys were saying. And I was like, fuck, maybe I can do that. And also there were some more like, like white rappers coming up, like when Mac Miller really started to pop off, dudes like that. I was like, yo, like white dudes can rap too, man. And we can do our thing. And
yeah, I know this is going to sound wild. And I'm like, bro, you're like Mac Miller is the example of white dudes can rap too. Like Eminem was like almost like whatever. He doesn't count as white rappers anymore. We needed other white rap. Whereas for me, it's like, yo, Eminem could rap, so I could rap.
I know, but actually, it's funny you say that. But like, I knew about Eminem and I liked a lot of Eminem. But to me, it was more the sort of like backpacker, sort of like college kid type of rap, sort of like more. I don't know, man, more grassroots, upload your shit to YouTube randomly and like get people to hear it type vibe that inspired me. He was like coming up, whereas Eminem was more established and like huge. Like I'd put Eminem with like the 50 Cents and like Dre's, whereas like when I discovered Mac Miller's like Nike's on My Feet or Kool-Aid and Frozen Pizza, I was like, yo, like this is just like some kid my age with a fucking snapback just talking about partying and girls and just his everyday life. And it made me feel like, yo, like as long as you're speaking your truth and you're not bragging or talking shit that's not your life, like if you rhyme well and you got some good wordplay and nice melodies and nice tone, like you can do it, and that sort of like inspired me a lot to get into it, man. I started writing poems. So like when I was 19, I started writing just like poetry, just things that would rhyme. And then when I was at parties with friends, I'd sort of like lay them down on some free like YouTube beats we'd find. And then I saw people's response. They were like, yo, dude, like you're not bad, bro. You're all right. You can do it. And I started just recording on my computer, just putting a beat in the background and like recording and then hearing that. And then finally found some more sort of professional mics and got into it like that. But, yeah, man, it wasn't until like a lot later.
So this is all like Cégep then, you're saying, right?
Yeah, so it was
like everything you just described is in like that Cégep phase.
Exactly. Yeah, it was like, so first year it was more like second year of Cégep, man. Because when I got into Cégep, I was 17, and then after that first year, I turned 18, and then Cégep year, like 18 going on 19, I was still playing basketball. I was in my second last year of basketball, but I could feel my passion starting to shift from like wanting to put in a lot of time, working on my shot, to like just listening to music, bro, and writing and enjoying putting it out there, like just on Facebook and YouTube back in the day, before even like, like download links or like Spotify or anything. It was just like uploading a song to my YouTube channel or just posting the random video that I'd with like my computer up to Facebook or something, and just seeing the response. And I just
so like social media been like the whole part of your experience since high school, right? Because I guess Facebook drops while you're in high school, so by the time you hit Cégep, Facebook be out.
Yeah, so it was. Yeah, so I remember Sec like 4 when I was like 15, 16 when I first heard of Facebook. So it was sort of starting up. But yeah, I remember at first it was only like I just posted on my wall, man, like this like random song I made, uploaded to YouTube, and yeah, that's how I did it.
When did you open a YouTube account?
Dude, so like...
Because that's early.
Yeah, dude. Well, probably when I was like 19, 20, like a while back. I'm 30 now. So like I was really into my music from maybe 19 to like
Okay,
I don't
so
know,
that was
like a
like
good
2011, 12, around that end.
something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
I was really, I remember I definitely had, because I shot a couple of videos like back at that time and I uploaded them. So I definitely had a YouTube account, which doesn't exist anymore because I totally like quit and stopped music for a good few years while I traveled and figured some shit out. And I had this thing where I was like, man, I sort of regret it now because there's some cool shit I'd like to go back and listen to, but I was like, oh, I don't like that old shit, man. Like I'm not fucking with it, and just deleted everything. But I did have a YouTube. Yeah, it did happen. It did happen. Yeah.
So you're in like the Quebec city scene, I suppose at that point, or are you just kind of posting it online?
Just online, bro, because being in Quebec City back then, like there, I guess it's changed now, but there wasn't a big hip hop scene, and the hip hop scene there was in French, man. And
I was like,
I could
yeah,
very,
I've heard about the French side and how much they like put work into it.
yeah, like no disrespect or not putting down the French side at all. I just don't like it, and I've never connected with it, and I didn't want to be reaching out like to people in Quebec trying to collaborate with them. One, because they did it in French and I was all in English. I was more grinding online, man. I've always been pretty good
You
at
know,
like
like, it sounds
love.
wild as you're saying it, but like, because people here might not be from here. So sometimes I like to just take a little tangential pause to be like, yo, if you would have asked me in 2012 if I would have fucked with the French scene, I'd be like, nah, B, it's a joke. You know, like just because it's French on some weird hater Quebec politics shit. That's really what it is. Like, I'm willing to say that now because it's kind of like, yo, I had my first, one of my favorite songs right now is a fucking French rap song from here, bro. I can't even explain it. It's like my go-to right now. It's the top of the list. And it's
What
this
is it?
Big Boy Things by Empress Live featuring Impost Rosalo and some next dude's name I can't remember at the moment.
Bro, I remember Impost was like in Mazayan or something. They had this rap group, or maybe I'm wrong, but Impost is an OG, I think. Like I don't know much about the French scene, but I do remember him and like Sans Pression. And do you remember Sans Pression?
I remember him, but I have been schooled on him. And I'm aware of who he
Yeah.
is now, and I've seen a lot. Like he's very active again, right? Like he's involved with Hitstory, and like he just did a show with a bunch. I think my homeboy opened for him 3 weeks ago.
Cool, man. I used to love his song Derrière mon sourire. It was like on that Music Plus top 5 countdown. And his video for his song Derrière mon sourire was pretty cool. But yeah, I remember him and a few others. And yeah, Impost I think was in Mosaïen. It was this like duo of French rappers from Montreal. But yeah, but it's crazy how there's like a sort of anglais thing now with some artists, where like they sort of use both.
Crazy. Yo, because
Popular.
he's not wrong though, folks. Because I be doing this thing where I'm tracking English rappers. Because doing what I can for the English side of the scene, which has actually exposed me to a lot of French music. Because when you click on the guy that's in Montreal, it's 50-50. You never really know, especially with the song titles, which are in franglais a lot. So you start to realize that guy might be not one language. He might even be 3 languages because there's fucking trilingual dudes all over the city. And the third language is random. Like, you don't know. Like, there's a whole Tamil scene, like the Indian language that I stumbled onto. Yeah, you'll find it on TikTok if you start hunting on the talk and shit. There's Spanish, there's Arab rappers. There's like apparently a bunch of Tunisian guys that Ismail, one of the guys who watches us, has told me about. So like all this shit's here, and they can all rap in English if they want.
That's sick, man. That's awesome.
It made me realize that those of us that choose stubbornly to stick to one language might be silly in the bigger picture to our greater scene. In the current climate. However, run it back to 2012, I totally get you.
Yeah, but the thing is though, like actually a few people have said like, bro, like why don't you like try rapping in French? To be honest, I don't really feel like it, and I don't feel like my wordplay would be great in French. Maybe I could work on it. But also, and this once again is just like a thought, it's nothing against that Conga stuff, because actually some of it's pretty cool and catchy. But I feel like apart from maybe here and some places in Europe, it's not really going to pop off. But then, as I'm saying, maybe some people in the States.
Actually, from what I heard, New York City discovered France recently. So go figure.
Really?
That's the thing is Montreal's on a hot like some dudes be getting majors, and I just don't think people have the same weird obsession with monolingualism. I think I made that up. Anyway, you know what I'm saying. That we have here on some politics shit, right? Because, I went to New York City for the first time in November. And what was bamboozling to me is how everybody spoke 2 languages, but nobody spoke French, except for the dépanneur guy that made fun of us and didn't know we were from Quebec, so they were in French. And I was like, oh, say word. Some, like, my girlfriend, petty-ass French, them, like, yo, we speak French. But, like, nah, nobody speaks French there. But everybody speaks other things. And it's almost like, yo, bro, if you only speak one language, I'm not saying for music, but I'm just saying, like, regular conversation. Like, it's not even special to be bilingual. It's basic to most of the world. That's some, like, myopic Quebec shit is sometimes what happens. And then, I wouldn't say you have to rap in French, but, like, it might be smart for most of us to fucking work with French rappers so that the linguistics can be proper and maintained, but then the culture can be more inclusive to each other.
It could definitely be cool to work with a French rapper who probably also has fans who listen to English stuff. It could definitely be a cool.
Bro, everybody under 25 in this city is bilingual that was born here. Like, the whole city's fucking bilingual. Like, it's just the old people that are not. Like, so you go to, like, 20s, look, like, Mike Shab raps in English and his whole crew is French, right? Like you look at all this shit. He was, like, speaking French in between his songs while rapping. Like, like, it's not the world we came from, It's a whole, like, they don't give a shit world where they're just like, fuck that, For me, it was this moment I had where I went on a Tinder date and my accent got me laid. And I was like, fuck that, I speak French now, let's go. And it was it. It was enough. But it made me realize a lot of people just don't see it like that with the hatred. They see it like under a lens of it's fire. So, like, why would we? And I think like with framing.
Like people 20 to 25, now even like 30-ish. It's a thing. Yeah, no, I feel a good point, man. That's interesting.
And at the end of the day, Montreal's the shit. Fuck what other people want to listen to. That's where I'm at right now.
Montreal's got a good artistic, creative vibe in general, man. I like, especially with these COVID restrictions being lifted, I like the energy around. And before we got on air, you were talking about some events that are happening. I'd love to come through and just start performing again, man, and get the music out, in a live format and just connect with people and play. That would be fun.
Yeah, I've been enjoying watching shit. Like, I'd be, like, at this show on Saturday, and this guy, Widget, who is a LaSalle legend OG, be busting out songs from 15 years ago that you can't find. And it's like, those moments are ill, because that was and then you're hearing how dope the shit from 15 years ago is, because you can't find it anywhere, because why would we have those mixtapes? And you're like, oh, say word. It was fire. I mean, it's fucking annoying that everything starts at 11 and makes me be out way past my bedtime. I'm not thrilled about that part of this, but otherwise it's lit.
You just want to be in your jammies with a hot tea, bro.
By midnight, yes, but like I'm good till 11:30, but then I start saying dumb shit after midnight, right? Like my ability to not say dumb shit starts to go right the fuck down.
It's okay, man. It's okay.
No, but it's dope. I've been having a blast with this shit because, again, it's been 2 years of lockdown. But also, it's like, I feel like I met hundreds of people on the internet, and now I get to meet them in real life. Like, I was in the washroom, and dude's like, you're the Holden Stephan Roy guy. And I'm like, that is me. You're that dude. Say word. So that shit be going on because, like, Montreal... Old man Montreal hip hop is what I call it. It's on Facebook, and there's like 500 to 2,000 people that comment on each other's statuses collectively. Like, you'll have 300 mutual friend requests pop up like all the time at a certain point. It's a wild collective of rappers and shit. and it's rappers, videographers,
Oh,
engineers, graphic. It's the whole squad. It's just this fat pool of rappers who talk to each other on Facebook because of algorithms. So it's those people I'm meeting at the shows.
feeling the guy being like, yo, that Holden Stephan dude. You're like, oh shit. Like, yeah, man. Like my stuff's actually being heard.
Nah,
you know?
bro,
Like,
I was
what I'm
in,
putting.
like, just to, like, on that note, because sometimes I'd be having these moments lately that trip me out. I'm in line and at this event, and dude recognized me from an interview. Like, he was supporting his homeboy. I was like, say word. That's, like, that was dope. But, like, yeah, no, that's why going to this shit's dope for me. It's like, I didn't know how cool it was. That was if I can give any advice to anybody as an interject, it's just go to shit that you're not rapping at.
Yeah, man. No, that could definitely be fun.
Nah, it's super dope. And then you get to be outside where the ciphers be at and shit like that. And yo, like because the show happens, but really I don't know if you've ever been in the corporate world and if you've ever smoked cigarettes in the corporate world. Because when you smoke cigarettes,
Folks, never in the corporate world.
so what happens is all the rich people who smoke cigarettes go outside to smoke, and it's the great equalizer. You'll be having all wild kinds of conversations outside with people outside your pay grade, social class, everything if you smoke. And I'm not encouraging people to smoke cigarettes. Vape.
Don't, kids. Bad.
But you can go out with the smokers. You can just go out where they're at. And it's less true now. People smoke less. But for the longest hot minute, you find out the smokers is where the networking really goes down.
It's very bad for us, but it's good for social networking.
I mean,
that's for sure.
Facts. But it's lit to watch the conversation that happens outside the shows. And this, because the people you run into, like, how are you going to meet them on the internet? Then you're just another avatar. And then in person, you're just like a person, you know? That would be it. But, fair enough. So, like, with your music shit, you said you're pushing it online back then. You're kind of developing your your fan base. You're producing it yourself at that point? Like, is it you that's taking care of that?
Yeah, so back then I had a studio in Quebec City, and I'd record there. We'd do all the mixing there. But what I realized after a bit is that I felt rushed going to those studios. And not only did I feel rushed because I was paying a lot of money, I didn't feel as comfortable as I did just doing it at home. The dude was working at the studio and I'd go. Not that he was a bad guy, but he didn't really fuck with what I was doing. He didn't know what I wanted to do with it. He was just there getting paid to record me and mix. So I was like, after a while, after a couple years, I ended up buying some gear and just starting to do it at home. And then you trade in, some quality with the recording, which you try and patch up with the mixing. But to this day, man, like I haven't been back to a studio. I mean, I'd be open to it. It could be a different experience and actually bring in a producer with to be at the studio to work the boards when I'm there. But I much prefer just like doing it at home. And I have an idea, boom, turn the mic on, record some shit, send it to my engineer. He makes a beat around it. It's just a lot more natural and free flowing. And I just like being with myself or just around people who actually fuck with what I'm doing rather than some random stranger at a studio, you know?
There's a lot of advantages to the stranger thing, but there's a lot of disadvantages. I feel like it's like going on Tinder, and that's exactly what it's like. So sometimes you swipe right and it goes bad, and sometimes you swipe right and you get lucky. And with engineers, though, and shit like that, like I met my homeboy Matt, and we worked at a call center, so it just like fucking worked out. And he's like my main guy, but he be like a real, like he quit his job to be a drummer kind of musician, so he be on tour and shit right now. So like I don't think I'm gonna get him till the winter, which is fine. But like for the longest time, we'd be in the room, and it's the advice of an experienced sound engineer is different than a guy who like when, and especially like when they know you, because they've been working with you for like a decade, and he makes beats for me. He doesn't need me there. He'll just send me shit, and it always is dope, and I use all of it because it's always dope and shit like that. And he just knows, but he doesn't do it for other people. I am like the only guy he makes beats for, and even then he's slow and he barely does it. So, because it's not his first passion. It's just like we do our thing, and so like he'll do it for me. He's like a drummer guy on tour right now. Like, you know, priorities for him. He's getting paid to be a drummer. Are you fucking kidding me? That's what my dude does. So like, you know, like, but when you find the right people, it's like when you find the right partner, you know, in all capacities. And I think sometimes people have shitty. I've had bad experiences. I've learned all about the copy paste template sounds, and I've heard all the different flexes and seen a lot of different shits. But like wildly, it's about what you like and the relationships you build. The only thing is, the problem with being by yourself is you could do a lot of dumb shit by not knowing. That's the only thing.
With you saying that, like I said, I'd be open back to studios and meet some people and work with other people. It's just I'm saying back in the day, like
right. That's a fair.
The dude was cool. It's not that he was a bad guy. It's just that like he was just there as just like it was very mechanical, sort of like he wasn't trying to give me ideas or maybe you should do it this way. It was just more like, pay me, I'll record you and make it sound okay. So that was my experience. But for sure, especially in Montreal now, so many people, so many different studios. Right,
because you was in Quebec back then too, eh? So there's not even like a lot of studios and shit. Like even with the basement studio rise coming through, you're still...
There were a few, but it was... Yeah, man, not that many people were rapping in English. So it wasn't really a vibe for the people I'd go record at. But these days, I'd be super open to it. I still think for now, I prefer just doing it on my own and all the time I want and need and just perfecting whatever I want to perfect or make it better. But always open to it, man. I'm open to meet new people, new producers, writers, whatever, and actually other artists too. Like I've been writing a lot and trying to put myself in other people's shoes, or like not just writing for myself, but I'm more and more trying to pitch like lyric ideas to pop artists or whatever. So I think this summer will be cool to get out there and network and catch some vibes, man. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the overall like. That's the mission, I think, for a lot. Well, if you're on your game, like you're trying to treat it like a business in the big picture, then it's like the mandatory moves. Because, people know when you're not at the show because they don't know you.
Yeah, word.
That's the thing. They'll remember if you're in the crowd. They'll just people, because you will too. Like, I don't know, have you performed before?
Yeah, I've played a few shows. I've opened a show in Boston. Back when I was really into it, early 20s, I played a couple high schools around Quebec. Yeah, I've performed it, but I've played maybe 6-7 shows.
And it was all like in the back then vibes of it all?
All in the back then. That's why, like, I've only been getting back into music for the past, not even year and a half, just over a year. And I've, it all started. We can get into that later.
Yeah,
or another.
No, trust we
but
can.
It all started. Yeah, man. I've been going through a few years of not going so good. Quite depressed, anxious, and I decided to cut everything out and get fully sober about 15 months ago. And when I did, got back into recording and building myself up again, and actually using music as a way to heal and get through some shit. All to say that, yeah, all those shows were way back. I've only started getting back into music, and I'm looking now to start playing some little basement shows or little venues, because I have a decent little catalog out now and I could start it up again. So yeah, that's what I'm planning, bro.
That part's all just logistics. The real trick to it is go to the shows, meet the people, and then you'll be like, yo, I rap too. Oh, say word. And then you'll find out it's a throw a 20 here, a throw this there, and then do that. And then you get to rap. I mean, not always, but it's certainly a good way to kickstart your press kit without reputation points.
No, word, man. That's I'll take that into consideration.
I'm just saying that shit because, there are hundreds of rappers right now in the exact same boat. It is about to be the most wild shit, I think. And I say that in the best possible way, like bubbling shit, but like hundreds, if not a couple thousand artists are about to burst out in all tiers and calibers at the same fucking time. Everybody's hungrier than they've been in years. And for the most part, we're all nicer to each other, which is kind of pleasant. It's been like really pleasant how nice everyone's kind of being.
That's awesome, man. I mean, personally, the only person I'm in a competition with is myself, man. I'm trying to better myself, and that's that's what I'm about.
It's not even about the competition element. It's just logistics. If everybody's at the same times and there's only X number of opportunities, there is going to, and I'm promising y'all, it's going to be some shit that happens. Plus, most of us is not balling. So who got money right now? We all got to work together to build this scene. That's where I'm at with it. Like, work together. Like, if mans can't, like, fully run the show, like, why is he going to eat the whole cost? Because then one day you going to be throwing the show. And you're like, do I want to eat the whole cost? I don't know if I want to eat the whole cost. So it's like that karmic community building thing. That's how I'm looking at it right now. I don't know if I'm right. I did not believe this type of shit years ago. But now I'm like, what is the practical solution so that the whole scene benefits, not just individual people?
Yeah, I think that can be really cool because for collaboration, it always also depends if you fuck with the other person's music or there's the right song for it. But I definitely get what you're saying with for shows.
Yeah,
if we can get some events going where whatever type of rapper you are, man, if you're more of like a singer or even R&B or like more old school rapper or whatever, if there can be more like sort of like events. Even outdoor shit, in street or whatever.
Outdoor shit. People be doing all of this though. Like even last summer, we started throwing shit at the park because there was nowhere else to do it. We rent. It's not even expensive. It's $50 a month to rent an amp from Longan-McQuaid, I believe it's called. And it lets you plug in 2 mics and Bluetooth connect your beats, and it's loud enough that people 2-3 blocks away can hear that shit. So we was running that. We're going to be doing it again this year at some point. Don't quote me on when. But that's the type of vibe that people need to have. So I don't know. What part of the city are you in?
I'm in Park X.
Yeah, it's got to be some area and people all around you and a whole local-ish that you could, hit up the park with.
Well, dude, I'm like a 5-minute walk from Jerry Park. Amazing park. Fucking love it.
Yeah, I should have known that that's there, but it's okay. Park X is another part of the city.
But but I remember last summer walking through Jerry Park a fair bit, like just around 6-7 p.m. and there were like some comedy shows in some random little pocket of the park. So I guess there is some sort of setup for.
I was gonna say I've been to Jerry Park and rapped more than once. That's like my biggest complaint because I'm an NDG is everything be at like Jerry and none of those motherfuckers want to come to my part of the city. But people here will go there. And that's my biggest complaint. And so we're losing the cool culture war of getting people to go across the city, which...
All about Jerry Park, homie. That's where it's at.
It's a large-ass park where you can hide a rave. I found that out, too, because I was at the park and I saw that rave that we got in trouble for, like, with COVID or whatever. I was like, oh, say word. So, yeah, don't get me wrong, but it's so far. Anyway, that's my only complaint. It's that other side of the city. But yeah, with that, man, that's where all the end of the week people go freestyle. There's like tons of people in ciphers in Jerry Park like regularly. It's just late. Everybody.
Awesome, man. I had no idea. Like I go on my daily walk, sort of take a lot of walks, man. I'm a big walker. Love it. So I'll try and keep up for that more this summer and just sort of pop my head in there and just keep rapping, man. Just meet people and like you said, connections. They might have a show, I might have a show. There's definitely room for collaboration, man.
It's happening all over, I'm telling you. How come you stopped music? You said you went to go travel, and then you said you went to all these countries and you did a whole bunch of adventuring around the world. That sounds
bro.
Nifty.
I stopped because I found myself putting so much fucking pressure on myself to like I wasn't even having fun creating and enjoying the process anymore. I was so worried about like, oh, I'm dropping a song. Like, how is it going to get out there and all that? And just putting a lot of pressure on myself, stressing out, not having fun with it. I was not going very good mentally. And I must say, just my opinion, I'm guessing you'll agree, whatever you want to do, whatever you want to do, it doesn't matter if it has to do with art or anything. You have to basically just feel good and be at peace and be okay with yourself to do anything. If you're not okay, basically just waking up in the morning, you won't be able to do shit. So I wasn't able to do shit anymore. I was in my head, bro. I call it anxiety press. It was a cycle of anxiety and depression. I was anxiety pressed, nonstop, not doing good, smoking way too much weed, which I have quit now because I used to love it, but it started to make me really anxious, which sucked because it was fun. So yeah, I loved it for years. And then started.
Nah, I say that because like I'm like the opposite. I think because I can afford it, I smoke more weed than I've ever smoked in my life, and there's this weird thing that keeps happening that I smoke weed and good things happen to me. So I'm not recommending people to do it, but it's just incredible how wildly different it can manifest in people. Like when you said that, I'm like, fuck, imagine this shit made me anxious. That would be terrible.
Yeah. I mean, I smoked for years. It made me really creative for a while. Like I wrote a lot of songs while I was high. I had to stop, but I have homies that I used to smoke with a lot that have really awesome jobs that are doing amazing in life who still smoke and it doesn't affect them like that. You know? So it is what it is. You just got to know yourself and know
Facts.
Stop if you need to. Don't keep going for years and making yourself weird and anxious like I did. Just cut it out if you have to. But to get back to the question, I pretty much, I wasn't feeling good. I never officially quit music. I always had in the back of my mind, like, you know, I got to get myself together and keep doing it. But I stopped for a good, releasing stuff for a good, 3-4 years and just went off. I went out to Australia at first and worked as a waiter in restaurants in Sydney.
Okay, how different is Australia? Is it like if I could, as a waiter and shit, you'd be seeing like people at like a baser level? Like how different is Australia?
To be honest, man, like Aussies love Canadians and vice versa. I think like we're very just the people, like we're very similar, man. Very laid back in general, polite, cool people. But I mean, there definitely is a difference just with the lingo, man. Like their accent and the way they speak, their expressions, very different. The climate, you know, just definitely switches things up. You know, I worked very often just right by the Pacific Ocean, just serving seafood, you know, so it's a bit different than going to work in Montreal at -30 and going into the restaurant and working there. So there's that too, but it's different because of the weather and the crazy animals there are there. And
I was going to ask, did animals try to kill you?
To be honest, man, people be freaking out about Australia and the spiders and shit and the snakes. Maybe I got lucky, but I never saw like a huge spider or...
That is the most comforting thing anybody's ever said to me about Australia. I'd be freaking out about animals popping out the toilet at me if I ever go, bro.
To be honest, man, like I remember like I was staying at my granddad's place, and I'd see little like lizards, like geckos sometimes, like running up the walls, and like that would happen because they just get in and they're around, but nothing venomous. Like I remember I'd ride to the beach, and a few times I saw this sign like beware, like brown snake spotted in the area. And by the way, the brown snake, I believe this is right, is the most venomous snake on earth. So, you know, it's not too comforting when you rock up to the beach and see that, but I never actually saw it or saw a snake. So they're around, but you got to be pretty lucky, man. Like they don't just pop up at you on the street, you know.
That is.
But they're around.
I mean, I guess that's like how it be. I mean, technically, there's turkeys in Montreal right now, and I ain't never seen a turkey, but they're around.
They're around, bro. You know, people definitely see them because it's a thing where people think of Australia and think of all that. But nah, man, they won't jump up at you. And I mean, yeah, Australia is different, but like people, like I said, speak like it's pretty similar, man. Like we get along, and you go to Australia, you say you're from Canada, and they love you already, bro, for real.
That is cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
we're gonna figure that out. Get down to Australia. But
go do a few. Dude, huge hip hop scene in Australia. Actually, some really cool rappers.
I'm
I'll have to send you some links.
Yeah, I'd be into that. I know I met a dude from there. Like he had been part of like the 90s, 2000s Australian scene, and he like gave me shit like, you don't know how spoiled you are, bro. Imagine being in Australia. And he gave me like this old man lecture about how hard it used to be and how they paved the way for us to have YouTube, and I'm like, fair. But yo, he was telling me about like how deep the Australian culture, like it goes back like other places. Sorry?
Who is this artist?
C, like CEE.
Don't know him because I know a few sort of like more OG Australian rappers, but no, I've never heard of C. That's
I don't
cool
know
though.
how significant he was in Australia, to be honest, but I know that he's from then. He was part of that wave of people, and he's crushing shit with like consulting on YouTube. Like you might actually recognize him from some ad trying to pitch you on some Wealth Simple. He at some point got a Wealth Simple partnership with his shit. So I was like, oh, you guys are Vim peoples now. But yeah, he also just dropped an album with some people I know. Like, so like, you know, he's here, but taught me about Australia scene. So you're like out there, you're not that into music, and you said you're working, you're vibing in the life, and then you traveled all over Asia, which I guess is a lot
Yeah,
closer if you're in Australia.
for sure, man. I found some really cheap, like $300 flights from Australia to. So my first trip in Asia was in Vietnam, and then I went to Burma, which is Myanmar, which is a really, really trippy, cool place, which unfortunately is closed off again now because there was a coup d'etat. The military government took over again, and that bullshit. And then I went to India. India, by the way, is my number one favorite country I visited, man. So crazy, diverse. I always say beautifully chaotic. Just a lot of stuff happening. And I also went to Nepal. So all those countries I was going to, really just enjoying being out there, and it was cheap, and immersing into different cultures, and not telling myself anything in the morning like I gotta accomplish this or do this. I was just living, man. I had saved up some money. I was traveling, meeting cool people. I actually traveled with a couple in Asia who I'd met in Australia. So that whole sort of like 3 years of my life was just, I was having fun, but I was also going through a lot personally and just trying to figure that out. And it was a decent way to do it. You know, it wasn't too stressful. I was working restaurant jobs, going out to Asia, and it was Asia, especially India, was a big eye opener, and I think was very therapeutic just to see how people live there and the degree of poverty and contrasts and stuff. So it's definitely a chapter in my life that I think I had to go through. I do not want to be there in my head again because it was fucked.
So,
but
bro, you literally lived in Eat, Pray, Love.
What's that?
I don't know if you remember Eat, Pray, Love, but I just read that shit, and you lived the Eat, Pray, Love story.
I've never heard of Eat, Pray, Love, but I think I'm getting...
She travels and she lives life and discovers shit and gets over shit, and she had heartbreak, and in her case, she ate, she prayed, and she loved, and each of these represented a different location she was at, and shit was like hot when you were too young to care. I promise you were, because in hindsight, yeah, you were a little too young maybe to care, but shit was hot. It was like before The Secret. It was like The Secret before The Secret. Like The Secret was like the new Eat, Pray, Love.
I read The Secret a few months ago. I liked it, man. I liked it. Okay, Eat, Pray, Love is like the OG Secret.
Yeah, which is just like how to win friends and influence and people and shit, but like just in 2020, you know, like that's all. They're all the same book. Like if you ever read them, like they're all the same.
it's sort of a lot of the, yeah, man. I mean,
And I say that with
it's
love, not with bad, because you got to write that a million ways, because there's a million different people, and everybody got to hear it the right way.
I feel that, and actually, it's funny. I'm nearly done it. I've been reading this book, Think and Grow Rich by
I heard
Napoleon Hill.
about that.
So I put my brother onto it too. He loved it, and it's funny because I put him onto The Secret as well, and he liked it. But we spoke about it, and it's funny because it's sort of the same concepts and teachings, but Think and Grow Rich is more like you got to have a plan for this shit. Yeah, your thoughts influence your reality, and you're sending out frequencies and getting the stuff back, but you can't, because The Secret, what I sort of got from it, there are some really cool points, but it's like The Secret's like think something and you're going to get it, which is to a certain extent, I think works. But what I'm liking with this Think and Grow Rich, which was actually written like a long time ago, like in the 30s or 40s or something, it was like lit for back then. I find they sort of like have these concepts. He's talking about this, but it's like, okay, but you have to have a definite plan. You ask the universe for something, but what are you going to give back in return for it? So it just made me think of that when you said there are many different ways to put this sort of concept of The Secret across, and depending who you are, what your belief system is, what you want to accomplish, it's cool that there are different versions of it out there. But I really recommend Think and Grow Rich, man. It's a good one. Really good book.
That's dope. I don't know if I'm gonna read it, to be honest, but if it ever comes my way, I will read it. It's just, I guarantee you, if we were to like bullet point Think and Grow Rich, like we could do it without me reading it, and I'd be reading it for the style rather than the knowledge at this point. And that's when I started, was like, nah, I kind of have to like vary it. Like I read like 15 of these motherfuckers, bro, just because I read all the classics, man. I read how to, all of the like fucking 7 Habits of Highly Influential People, How to Win Friends and Influence People, blah blah blah. It just went. I don't have them all on deck in my head, but I went through a whole bunch of shits, like even just like grammar books, just all this shit, and it was like, nah, man, it's all the same. Like by the time The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck was hot, I was like, I'm not reading that. I already don't give a fuck.
I don't give a fuck about it.
That's what it is. It's a bit. Sometimes you're like, I don't know if I can do it. Like Eat, Pray, Love is for like 35-year-old women though. So I'm like, that's wildly interesting. I want to see like that version of it, cause that's where I'm at. Like I'm trying to like get voices and perspectives that are mad different than like mine. So it's like cool, but just to read some next shit for dudes again, I don't know. I've been there. However, if you have not, read that shit. Like for real, you're not the first person to recommend it, and I've gotten enough cosigns on that book that I don't want to diminish it, and I because it sounds fire.
It definitely give you some tools to try and get to where you want to be. And another really good book is The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success by Deepak Chopra. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Nah, but that sounds super lit, because I don't know that I ever read anybody combining spiritualism and business before.
And it's all about like your law of desire, law of least effort, law of karma, and it's by Deepak Chopra. This really
is that where the law of attraction comes from?
Yeah. So I don't think he sort of came up with that idea, but he embraces it, and he says pretty much the first law is the law of pure potentiality, where he's saying that when you go into meditation or simply just take some time to be in silence with yourself and you just be, you get in touch with that field where all the unmanifested is at, and anything we see or experience in our life comes from that. So if you can get in touch with that field where everything is possible and everything comes up from when you are still and silent with yourself, that's very powerful. So that's like the law of pure potentiality. Then the law of desire, setting your intentions and the desire behind it and all that. So, I mean, it's just another book in that sort of realm of books that can be interesting to read, man. And he has a few really cool books too. He's like this, I think he's like an Indian American spiritual teacher, guide. Really, really cool, man.
No, it's dope. Stills. So you'd be reading stuff, you'd be traveling around, evolving your character. Then you come back to Canada for some reason. I guess you've worked out the evolving and journeying.
I mean, I came back because I'd been traveling for a minute, man. Like it had been years, and I was like, I guess it's home. So I came back, but man.
Did you have to pay taxes if you're not in Canada for a year?
I Nah, man. I think that's only if you're working. I mean, I think I had to do, maybe not with the federal government, but with the Quebec provincial government. I still had to like let them know I was not officially like gone, and I had to maybe pay something to keep my name like alive here. But no, like I didn't have to pay any major taxes. No.
Fair. You just gotta pay
Yeah,
taxes where you're at, then, right?
I sure did, bro. Yeah,
Fair.
did my tax. Didn't evade them, man. As they're like knocking on my friend's door in Australia, he fucking ran away.
Say
No, I did.
that's a
No, I
wild
did
thing.
it.
Cause I don't know. I just like, yo, I'm curious about shit sometimes. You're like, yo, because recently I had that conversation. Like, look, it's not implausible I leave Canada for an extended period of time in the next 5 years of my life to go do some business shit. Okay, what do you do for taxes? These are the logistics you think about in your 30s when you start fantasizing about your future. I know it's weird,
First,
but
I have to call the government up, man. They'll be glad to let you know how you can keep paying your tax,
that's
whatever,
amazing.
while you're gone. They'll gladly tell you, bro.
That's fair. So then you come back here because you've been gone for a while, and you're in Quebec City again at first, right? So,
Yeah, dude.
do you pick up the music again right away when you get back, or are you just kind of resettling for a bit?
Yeah, I was resettling, bro. I sort of picked it up on and off. I always had, in the back of my mind, like, all right, man, like, I know I can do this music shit. I've got talent with it. Let's do it. But I'd always be sort of dragged down by my thoughts. I was, I'd get off substances for like a couple months and I was back into it. Like, yeah, let's fucking do it. And then I like relapse, or I was in this constant cycle of letting myself down and not feeling good. So I'd like want to get back into it and like record like a demo or think of a song idea or whatever, but never actually go through with it until like a year and a half ago, man. That's when I really started like building what I'm doing now. So when I got back, I was pretty much just working. It was cool because I started working at this elementary school where I went to as a kid, doing substitute teaching, and like lunchtime supervision, which allowed me to save up some money and blah blah, and keep busy. But no real like getting back into music up until last January, man. That's when it really started up again.
So what brought you to Montreal?
So I had already been thinking about it for, even while I was traveling. I was like, when I go back to Canada, probably go live in Montreal. It's more poppin', more bilingual, a few more things happening. And then when I got back, this wasn't right away when I got back, but maybe a year after I'd been back to Canada, I was in Montreal visiting friends. And one night I met this girl and we hit it off and tried being together. And I was still living in Quebec at that time. And she was like, oh, when you get back from Vancouver, because I was going out west just for a while to travel, she's like, oh, like, you can come live with me. So, I mean, she is, I guess, the main reason I came to Montreal. And that did not work out. Let's not get into that faster. But yeah, like I lived with her for a while, and then that was not working out. And thank God it didn't, man. It put me on this beautiful path I'm on now. And actually, when it wasn't working out with her, I found this place in Park X, and I've been here ever since. A nice, cozy little studio apartment right by Jerry Park, where the Cyphers are at. And
I'm high key jealous. I want everyone to know I'm a hater. Like, I'm not a hater about anything except for Jerry Park. That is like I accept the Tam Tams. Like, the Tam Tams is fucking blessed. I will go to the Tam Tams. Like, I accept. It's a fucking mountain in the middle of the city, and it's cool. And it was like cool.
I'm gonna have to go.
Bro, you gotta hit the Tam Tams on a Sunday. Like, I get it. You're not maybe from here and you don't know that because it's been COVID. But like the Tam Tams on a Sunday is like a vibe because you got like the Tam Tam parts where motherfuckers be Tam Tamming. Then there's the rave part that's up the fucking grassway. In the middle is the sun tanners. But then you go up the mountain, and if you explore for a minute, you're gonna find the LARP circles where they literally LARP like full on. Like, yo, they let you use their shit. I was whacking people and shit. I got killed quick because I'm not a LARPer. Then you got like sports parts. Like and it's every Sunday in the summer when it's like not shit weather.
Yeah, I heard the Sundays were pretty lit. I just never checked it out, but it's definitely on my Montreal to-do list.
Yeah, I can't. Like, I wish I could go on Sundays sometimes, but like I've been in the past, and it's definitely a huge congregation point of people. Whereas Jerry Park's just farther away, and just
Well, it's
not a
5 minutes from my
mountain.
hella close.
Nah, but I mean, it's like there's a lot of shit happening. It looks like there's the right next to Barrie Metro appears to be where a lot of venues be at, like Osgang Plaza and this next place, the Forge, is like right next to each other there, and like you just start seeing that like you don't get a lot of choice. You got to go where the shows is.
Dope, man. Yeah, I gotta check a few of those events out for sure.
I got another question because you're like the only person I've seen do this shit. How does YouTube Shorts affect your life? Like, do you feel like it's worth doing?
Bro, I started doing that just because, like, I'm like, oh, there's that shorts option. It's like a quick little concise video, and then you can hashtag like shorts. And I did a couple, and then like within a day, it got like a couple thousand views. And I'm like, I like speaking my mind too. Like I do the music, but I like sort of like that daily motivation or good vibes or just like speaking what's going on with me and just putting it out there. So I thought that was a cool medium to do that. And now that I'm on TikTok, by the way, I think you found me on TikTok. At the beginning, you weren't sure. You messaged me and saying you found a video on TikTok. I just remember that. But
Yeah,
now that
makes sense.
now that now that I make TikToks, as soon as you make a TikTok, it sort of saves to the camera roll, and then I can just upload my TikTok to the short. So it's just another way, I guess, or another opportunity of just getting into some algorithm or getting the people who are already subscribed to see another version of me or just something different from music. Or sometimes I do like song previews or snippets of my songs. I mean, it's just another way. It's just more content to upload pretty much.
And do you find like people interact with it?
It depends, bro. I mean, no, I wouldn't say right now it's super lit. I mean, I've had a couple shorts get a bit more traction and interaction, but right now for me, what's working, and I slept on it for a while, is TikTok, man. That algorithm is pretty crazy, the way it just ships it out to random people. Like people don't have to be following you to see your video. Like I feel really cool, man. Like
I have
TikTok's
yet to find my TikTok swagger. I'm gonna be real with you. I'm sitting on trash land in TikTok. Actually, I'm not doing it right. I want the whole world to know that as it, because there's ways to do it right. And I mean, like, either, anyway, I don't want to go too deep into that, but let's just say I'm being very random and I'm not helping the algorithm at all. Because you have to help the algorithm.
I not to say you can't sort of like switch post different content, but from what I've understood so far is that like the more you're consistent, let's say you just post like snippets of your interviews or like even like,
because the problem is branding confusion. So I do that, but then there's the me parts, and on Instagram those are two entities, but on TikTok they're one entity, and the fucking algorithm, I don't think it knows what to do with me. So I'm not in any lane, and I'm not playing into like and I'm saying that because like I know what I have to do to fix it. I have to have more social media accounts, which is like like holy shit, but you have no choice sometimes because I wanted to do all this shit. But yeah, like the behind that suit is its purpose, and then myself, I need my own TikTok, and then because I did this rant and it went really well on Instagram, and I was like, like not like crazy numbers, but it was more the interactions, like, and then somebody's like, "Are you the guy in the pink sweater?" And that was like, "Oh, say fucking word." I'm gonna rant more, but if I, like, so it's like I see you doing this as I'm trying to like, because a lot of us, no matter what lane you're in, suck ass at social media. Trust, if you're seeing like 100 or less, it's not good numbers. I see people in Montreal with good numbers. I'm not those people. I understand like other parts of the game really well, but I'm still learning. Like, that's why so like, to me, it's like none of us are really winning in the world I'm in. So it's curious to see how your experiences are, especially because you're doing the shorts. So it's like, I was like, I know on YouTube, if I post too many videos, I will lose possibly subscribers rather than gain.
I don't know, man. I feel like it's there are different ways to do it, and maybe you pay for like ad campaigns, so you show up more often. I personally am not into that. Like, I'm a big believer. I
tested that recently, but
really,
I'll tell you why. I had an experience over COVID. Some girl thought I was single, and I was not single. And she proceeded to do the "I'm interested in your music" shit. So I sent her my shit, and she said it's only at 82 views. What the fuck? And then like she acknowledged it's good enough, but you could just tell that because it's only at 81, it could have been the hottest song she ever heard in her life. It didn't matter. And then it made me, because she's regular. And what I mean is she's not in the music scene. And we are often so surrounded by people in the music scene that concepts like talent matter to us in ways that don't matter to like the consumer, for like lack of a better term, like the person you want to fucking pay you. Which, because keep in mind, if I buy tickets to your show and you buy tickets to my show, neither of us made $1. That's what happens a lot in this shit. So numbers get inflated in a sense, but there's no real value acquisition because we're not really getting fans in that regard. But then if fans are going to look at your shit and judge you, because they will, then advertising looks different to me. Because it's not really about, like, I mean, this is what everyone's goals are. But to me, it's like, it doesn't like feel nice to put money behind an ad, but it's not lost on me that having 130 views is better than 80 views, because just getting 100, there's like a little threshold where it's like, and if I can't get that organic, then fuck it. If it's going to cost me $20, $30, it's not like that's what they mean when they're like invest in your career, you know, like what's really more important at the end of the day.
I feel that, and paying for ads can work too, but I'm really all about just like, man, I'm enjoying just the journey, bro. And when I hit that first 1,000 streams on my song Yo-Yo on Spotify with no promo, I'm like, man, it might just be 1,000 streams, but it's organic, man. It's persistence. It's having faith, it's working on your craft. And I feel you with like the girl being like, oh, you only got 82 views. And if you would have maybe had 200 on it, it would have been different. But people,
you know, it's not even like that drastic. That actually would have been that different just to hit 200 versus 80.
I feel that, but you have to, I think what I'm thinking now too is that there are different consumers too, man. People who really fuck with your music, who really love what you're doing or just love music in general, I don't know. If they find a song they like, even if it's at less than 1,000 plays on Spotify, or they see you with 80 views, they're going to bump it, man, and they're going to tell their friends, I think.
I would say I wish the world worked like that as much as we think it does, but my experience is that the people who do that are ignored by their friends because they're doing it like 18 times a day because I'm friends with those people. This is dude Ismail Gadamsi. If he ever finds you and he fucks with your shit, it's a blessing. He'll Bandcamp your shit. He is currently, because he listens to my shit, on some running it up. Right now, if I open my Spotify, he is running up Cool Man Logan's music. I can say that definitively. I can see it right there because that's what he does. I can give you 5 names like that. I know a lot of fucking people. That's not how people consume music. That's not how the people who will go to your shows and dance and vibe to your shit consume music. They're like just not caring about any of that shit. They just want to hear. You're right, though. You get it in front of them. However you get it in front of them, the rest of that shit true. That's why it's like go to the shows. That's why it's like be in places where it's at. Now, in my head, I'm going, I can afford this much. So why wouldn't I try it?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the ads can work. I'm just like,
you know what though? I'm not even lying to you. My goal is festivals. I don't give a fuck about little whatever. I want the people with the festivals when they go Google me to not be like he's corny. So like I'm gonna just establish that that's my bigger goal. It really has nothing to do with that, and that world is that fake. However much you might think that side's authentic, bro, promoter land, nah, it's not even like that. Now it's all business and all numbers.
For sure. For sure. That's why
And
you
that's at
might
least
not.
where I want. I want to go to festivals. That's the next step for me, at least musically, because I've been at this for a minute, and I will do all the shows and the bars and shit. But like at a certain point, you want to elevate, and then you Google press kits, and then you Google how to get on there, and you're like, oh, say word, I have to look pretty on the internet, like you're supposed to fashion up to look pretty in real life. Like it's like that. That's how I. So do I think? Do I agree with the purity side of every? Fuck yeah, all about that. I did it for a decade. Now I'm like trying something new.
Yeah. We're all in different phases in our things, and you know, it is what I just personally like. Just for me, I I just know my shit's gonna get out there organically, and it's not saying that paying for ads. Actually, a lot of people do
Yeah,
that,
just to
and
be
I do.
clear, I have put less than $100 into this shit, and it really was like a little bit testing the waters. Like I accidentally spent $100. It was an accident, and I learned a fucking expensive lesson. Do I feel like it was worth it? I don't know. But like I'm not really like I'm really into paying money into my career, but like ads make me feel weird. But like spending money on my career for marketing is just, you can't find one of your musical heroes that didn't do it. Therefore, it's mandatory.
No, I feel it can definitely help, man, for sure,
And
for sure.
marketing is bigger than ads, though. So I'm not limiting it to the idea of paid promotion in that moment. I'm saying marketing is bigger. Marketing is like having merch and like, you know, bigger moves, having the right logos and branding. All that shit, if you're doing it right, probably costs money. My designers cost money. My pick a resource costs money. The guy who's gonna edit this video, not free. You know, like that's what I'm saying. Like then, you know, it's a business now. It's less like, and I'm not a great entrepreneur yet.
Work in progress, bro. Room for improvement.
However, what you said about what people are at, man, that's mad true. Like if you be at the part where you're at, like don't even like look at what I'm saying as advice to whenever it applies, rather than just being like, go do this shit. Like if you're at
Yeah,
this place, do your thing.
yeah, man. Just think it's important to follow one's gut, follow your instinct, and yeah, man. Just got to keep doing our thing, you know.
And so, like, when it comes to music releases, you said you're at a place where you're just kind of banging shit out at home. Do you have like a whole release schedule planned out for the next while? Do you have albums coming?
Good question, man. Actually, I wrote all of that out like last week. I can't say I'm working on any like body of work. I'm just really focused right now on staying in a good creative flow and understanding the balance between like not forcing things, but also not just sitting back and doing nothing.
Mm.
Understanding my creative cycles and just staying as productive and just challenging myself as much as I can. So I'm just worried about recording. And for the next while, I'm just going to be trying to put out as many songs as I can, man. Eventually, maybe if I have a bunch of songs I really like, maybe put them together and make an EP or like an album. But I just really just want to keep working on my craft. And when I have songs that are ready, fucking get a little artwork together and put it out there, man. I'm trying to not hoard the music I have, because I know when I did it before, like early 20s, I was so fucking meticulous about like, okay, like the artwork has to be like that. And it's not to say that there isn't, you know, importance to details isn't important, but I'm just all about these days. Like, I got this fucking song ready. Okay, it might take a while for it to be on Spotify. I gotta get it out there, but I can put it on SoundCloud. Okay, I'm gonna fucking share it. I want to put my stuff out knowing that I'm gonna try and make something better the next day, and I'm just gonna get better with time and just get it out there, man. Because a song I think might not be that good and I'm not fucking with might end up being a hit, you
No,
know? So
bro, you
try to,
have no idea how true that shit is. I had somebody tell me the worst shit in my catalog was their favorite song. And I'm saying it's the
yeah,
worst shit. I made the beat. and I was 19 or some 20 shit, like young, and it sounds flat. Like my voice is not even 2 notes, bro. It is just nasally ass flat. I don't know fuck all about anything. And it's this guy. It's like that's my favorite song, and I'm like, I question your taste in music, homie. But like, I guess do you? If that's the
Thanks for the
one.
love.
I mean, it's not
Yeah.
bad. It's just baffling how much one man. Yo, the strangest part of my life is how I can barely get consensus on what songs people like when I put out a project. It's more like, don't get me wrong, I'm not getting crazy feedback, but I'll get like 7 people tell me that each one of them has a different favorite song. And I'm like, well, that's not helpful for singles. But like, it's just everybody likes what they like, or they connect with what they fucking connect with. And I can say that the more gimmicky you go, the more mass appeal it'll get. I made a song about pickle chips on a whim, and it fucking connected with people. Because if you say you don't like pickle chips, bro, I found out them be fighting words. I get tagged in pickle shit. People will send me pickle things in the DM. This isn't like it stopped. I'm saying it happened last week, and I dropped the shit last summer. And for a lot of people, I'm some pickle motherfucking hater. And they are going to tag me in whatever absurd pickle shit they can find for the rest of their lives. And I'm like, that's impact.
Got some listeners, man. You got through to them in that pickleish way, man.
Yo, it's baffling. I have to memorize this stupid ass fucking song because I think it can go way bigger now. But that's the type of shit where, like, if you would ask me if I should, sorry?
Shoot a video for it. Fucking dress up as a pickle or something, man.
I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I thought about beating up pickles, but here's the problem. Anything I'd want to do had food waste involved, and I really care about that shit now. So, it was challenging. But we had ideas for it, and then I did a lot of that was part of my little freestyle song run, because I decided... Okay. I had this moment where I decided to goof on what I perceived to be the most baffling phenomenon of rappers not releasing music. And so I just released the worst... That was the original intention. The first one was meant to really just be a troll album to make fun of a particular producer, Meticulous, who was super into like premium. Like it's his whole brand is to be expensive and shit. And I'm like the opposite. And we were like linking up. So I was in his crib. I was like, we were just chilling, and I just pitched it to him. What if I released unmixed, unmastered, like whatever? Am I going to try? So I did it. Like the next day, it took me 3 hours, 7 tracks. It's pretty fucking bad, and I have considered pulling it. It's the only thing I would pull from this run. But then I got the feedback, like, where's the hooks at? So I added hooks the next one. I'm doing it all live on Twitch, too. So I'm live on Twitch, freestyling these songs. And the pickle chip came because people were mad at me that I didn't like pickle chips. And I'm like, fuck all of y'all. And so the whole intro is, like, me live on Twitch, like, talking to these people. And then I just rapped the whole song about it. And it was there were, like, 7 or 8 people there. It was, like, a whole vibe. And then it worked. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Because, like, there's that part of your mind. I don't want to be the meme fucking rapper. All those things that you would think, right? It's just, that one hit. It is what it is. Not all of them hit. Some of them are not great. Some of them are filler filled.
Bird, bro.
Yeah, I don't know. Life's been cool with music, though. But the more you pursue it, and then... your path will figure it all out. The only one rule is go to people's shit that you're not rapping at. That's not even like a debatable thing. Every book will co-sign that.
You got it. Word. Man, you got to do what you think is dope. Obviously, I think we're all influenced by other artists and what they've done. But dude, like, you're the only one living your journey, making your music. You got to fuck with it. You got to be your number one fan. That's what I'm finding out with my music, man. If I don't finish a song and get back and want to blast it for 2 days straight,
actually,
I don't know, man.
That might be the hottest thing you said in terms of, like, good advice. Somebody else said that to me one time, and it really impacted me. Because keep in mind, all of this to me is mixtape shit. That freestyle shit, I would call that mixtapes, where they're not singles, they're for the community. If you don't like my random freestyle songs, I don't really care. I don't know if I even like all of them. My actual work, where I write the shit and put the effort in, well, that's all different. Upon which, I have to like it. if I wrote it, I have to like it, and then it matters.
Yeah.
But somebody said to me, like, she has to be able to bump her track. Her name's Serenity, by the way. If you haven't heard her music, you might really actually fuck with Serenity shit. Like, she dropped a song called Blessings. I can link you after a music video and shit's out recent. But like, she was like, she has to be able to play her song 100 times and still think it's the shit. And I'm like, I never did that one time in my career when I started. I didn't care. I was like a rush it out guy. And then I didn't realize that impact, but it is cool. Like, I became a huge fan of my music. Like, I think I'm the best rapper in the world right now for me. You don't have to agree with me. I don't think I'm the most talented rapper. I'm just my best rapper. Like, for me.
Fuck yeah, dude. That's the way you got to be, man. If you're not your biggest fan, then you're not gonna have anyone fucking with you. I mean, you might have a couple, but anyway. The moral of the story.
No, it's a hot moral. Because, I know for a fact that, like, there's so many people that possibly are more talented than I in this game. Because it might not be a competition, but it is a game.
It is, yeah.
So, like, because you said before it's not a competition. I thought about that, and it's not. And I'm like, yeah, I agree with you. But it is politics, and it is a game. Those two things are both part of this like, reality we're in. That's why I don't like to say names, but I do see habits, right? And you see a lot of people who be like mad talented. Like if they ever, and then you get this list of things, if they adapted their approach a little bit, they would just like have more people invite them to opportunities. And that's the thing I think a lot of people don't know about is that like a rich person isn't gonna like promote you unless they can play golf with you. That was the biggest lesson I learned in the business world. And it took me way too long to learn that lesson. Then you realize everywhere is like that. Like, so you got to dress nice because the rich people be dressing nice. So how are they supposed to invite you to the nice place if you aren't already dressed nice? So it's like these signals that you give off to the people you don't know you're supposed to be impressing. And that's when I changed a lot of shit. Like, I actually care about fashion more now. And it wasn't very fascist conscious. Not because I'm trying to impress girls or fans, but because I'm trying to show people I care about, like, the code.
I get that. Trying to, like, mold in
to the community.
Yeah.
Because it is a community, right? There's a lot of us, like, and there are lanes, and I believe I'm trying to pave this lane over here, and you're doing your thing there, and our lanes can all synergize in different bigger lanes, but it does require that synergy of like working with people, and that's where I don't know, it's a game a bit. That's what I've realized. Everyone's like out there, and the people who are out there are the people remember, and that's the biggest rule I've learned to this game.
I like that, man. Yeah.
There's this guy Jay Uno. You might know him, you might not. He plays saxophone, but he's everywhere. He's just everywhere. Yo, he's ill. He'll like be at the park. He'll be downtown. He'll be at this event. He'll be at that event. And everybody knows him because he's been around since forever doing his thing. He'll even be at Snowden playing saxophone. Like sometimes. Like if you ever seen the saxophonist at Snowden, that's Jay Uno.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if he does other metros because I know that's like Snowden is not really yours. But that's what I'm saying. Like, but he's everywhere and people know him. And it's like big lessons,
Dope.
Anyway, but yeah, no, I really appreciate talking to you. I don't know if you have anything else in your bag of tricks that you're up to in life that you want to share with the world.
Bro, well, first of all, thanks for the talk, man. It was fun. I actually just checked the time. Fucking 2 hours just flew by, man.
Yeah, that's cool.
Oh, first of all, thanks for reaching out. This is, like I posted yesterday, my first interview, and a lot of cool things have been happening lately. Just more traction on Spotify. I feel like my stuff's getting out there more, and this has just been a very fun conversation. It's just proved me that the universe is showing me more and more, man. Keep doing your fucking thing, and good people are coming into your life. Doors are opening. So no, man, thanks for that. I don't really have anything else to say. Apart from if you feel like it, you want to follow my journey, my music, you can follow me at Wander and Feel. So it's WANDRANDEEL, Wander and Feel. Yeah, you have something to say?
Nah, just put that in the chat and then it'll be links below. But you should say it out like that because it's going to be on Spotify. So for the audio only people, his spelling it out is good.
Uh,
But for everyone else, links in description and shit.
yeah, that's why like when I say wander and feel, it's pretty obvious, but I thought I'd still spell it
No,
out.
it's actually the right choice to be like. I started reading it out because I realized, yo, what if it's some dude in another country that's not English as a first language? Because believe it or not, and I don't have crazy numbers, but they're in crazy number of countries, like 1, 2 views all over.
Hey, awesome, right?
So it's like I got used to working with people that don't speak English as a first language. And so like things like lyrics and stuff, it's not for Americans and it's not for us. It's for the people you're not like speaking to that maybe like would fuck with you if they could Google translate what you're saying and shit, you know?
I feel that. Well, I'm glad I fucking spelled it out like the teacher I from KSN.
Yeah. That's
Yeah, well, that's about. Thanks again for the talk, and to anyone listening, man, be sure to follow your gut, man. Follow your instinct, and first and foremost, listen to yourself, man, because you're the only one in your skin, living your life. And yeah, some people might have some good advice, but your best advice is your intuition, man. It
super
always
facts.
knows. And just yeah, peace and love to everyone, man. Thanks again for the convo, bro.
Yeah, and I just wanted to give a thanks to everybody out there watching. Y'all are wonderful. For those of you that stuck with us through the live, for those of you that did not stick with us through the live, y'all are still wonderful. But you could also come to twitch.tv/behind that suit for the lives and then be part of the conversation, etc. But no, I appreciate everyone that's coming through. I appreciate you coming through and sharing your insight. Like again, it's for me interesting because I don't know people, so this is just my way of getting to know people, and getting people's stories down. And you're the 153rd one of the official Bridge the Gap, so that's a lot of people we talked to, and you're just now part of that journey that we've been on. So thank you for coming through on that. I don't really have a lot more to say. I started the raid on Twitch. Twitch is dope. If you're not on Twitch, get on Twitch. So now we're going to invade this next lady's channel and bring the audience over there. And that's a fucking ill feature. But on that note, everyone, live long and prosper, everyone.